Sup y'all, and welcome to the Great Divergence, Unit 3, Part 7. And in this video, we're going to take a closer look at Chinese stagnation by asking this essential question: why don't most Americans speak Chinese?
The symbol for China is Zhongguo, which means Middle Kingdom. They saw themselves as the center of the world, and why not? After all, it was the riches of China, more than perhaps anything else, that motivated the Europeans to explore and find more efficient trade routes. We're going to start with looking at how the Ming came to power in China. Now, it has been scientifically proven by geneticists that the Black Death and many other European pandemics had their start in China. The plague ravaged the population and helped lead to a massive uprising against the Mongols who were ruling in China. This uprising led to the start of a new dynasty, the Ming, meaning brilliant. It was the last dynasty led by the Han Chinese, the most ethnically dominant group in China, making up more than 90% of their population today. As you can see, China is a multinational state made up of many different ethnic groups across their vast lands. The Chinese were strongly influenced by Confucian values, and the acronym SPAM can be used to structure their society just like the Japanese. The scholar gentry were the highest class, the landowners who successfully passed civil service exams, which were necessary for them to hold any administrative position. The decoration of the two cranes on this man's chest are a rank badge that indicate he was a civil official of the first rank, so S for scholar gentry. Next were the peasants, again highly regarded for their usefulness of providing food and paying taxes. They were followed by the artisans, and lastly, the merchants, who became more important as trade increased with the Europeans. So again, SPAM, SPAM. Now, the Chinese constructed an enormous navy and even led many notable expeditions, bolstered by junks, large, solid ships, equipped with lateen sails and sternpost rudders. Now, don't let the name fool you. They were arguably the best ships in the world at that time. The Ming also maintained a standing army of at least 1 million men, which enabled them to expand their territory, but also drain their economy. Initially, trade increased under the Ming, and they financed many large-scale expeditions, the greatest of which were led by the fleet admiral Zheng He. From 1405 to 1433, and 7 great voyages, with fleets of up to 70 ships and crews of up to 30,000 men, he sailed to the Philippines, Southeast Asia, India, Persia, Arabia, and even down Africa's east coast. Now bear in mind, these expeditions were finished before the Europeans had even begun to sail much beyond the Mediterranean Sea or into the Atlantic Ocean.
For comparison, this is an artist's rendition of Zheng He's flagship spanning greater than 400 feet, and as you can see, it completely dwarfed the size of Columbus's Santa Maria.
And looking at this, some say this map, supposedly dated to 1418, proves that the Chinese had discovered the Americas before Columbus's famous voyage. Nonetheless, most experts have dismissed it as a fake, claim actually that it might be simply a creative recopying of a 17th century French map. Regardless, if the Chinese had such a head start, why didn't they discover and conquer the Americas? The answer is not geography.
Yes, well!
Interestingly, these expeditions were mostly political or militaristic, not economic in nature. Yes, they received money from land taxes and tribute, but not trade, since they felt they had all that they needed. Keep in mind, the Ming, and all Chinese society, was dominated by the values of Confucianism, far more than the motivations of mercantilism. With the onset of the Little Ice Age, China began to look increasingly inward. As a large empire with vast farmlands as well as great technology and resources, they had the motivation to protect what they had. Also, due to cooler temperatures, the Mongols, to the north, continually harassed the Chinese, forcing the Ming to rebuild the Great Wall, as well as to relocate their capital northward to Beijing. It was around this time that the Forbidden City was constructed, becoming the imperial palace of the Ming. They encouraged people to migrate to the north, and by the mid-1400s, the Ming extended overseas expeditions and spent valuable resources in expanding the Grand Canal. Interestingly, due to cooler temperatures, wheat crops in the north produced less and less, so rice, which was plentiful in the south, was shipped northward, becoming China's staple crop, in many ways due to the Little Ice Age.